Let's bring down the filmmaker, Beth Elise Hawk. There she is. Wow. I haven't seen this on the big screen, and I only got to catch part of it, but wow, it's beautiful. Congrats.
Thank you.
So we're just going to chat for a few minutes, Beth and I, pretend you're not here. And then we'll open up for some questions. I think it's always great to start with a movie like this that has so much culture and so much to say. Tell us the origins of the idea. Where did it come from? How did you come to tell the story?
Well, I was in the car and traffic, like we all are. And on the radio came Dr. Atamna-Ismaeel. She had just won MasterChef, and she was talking about her mission about bringing Jews and Arabs together through food, and I became obsessed. It was a positive message coming from this area. We never hear anything like that, and it had to do with food, which was my favorite genre. I love all the food films, from Big Night, in case you can't tell, to Chef's Table and all of those. And so I ran home and reached out to her on Facebook, and we connected, and she eventually told me about the festival, and I said, we've got to tell this story.
Right, yeah. It's a good subject, eh? So yeah, I obviously we're all taken by the idea, and there's a bunch of quotes, and most of the people in the movie find their own way to say it, but it's interesting, right, that labels fall away and food brings people together. Maybe talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, it starts with, you have Anthony Bourdain's quote, food may not be the answer to world peace, but it's a start. You hear it from Noah, you hear it from all the chefs, you hear it from Tomer saying when you cook for somebody and he eats your food, that's where politics ends. And what you learn from this film, what I learned, is when you see people together in the kitchen, there's no religion, there's no politics, it's human beings connecting. It's a story about humanity, and that's what's so beautiful about it for me, and that's what drove me. So,
well,
that's the story.
Message heard loud and clear. Last question from me. I've had the privilege of working on a number of documentaries myself, and I remember talking with you when we were, you know, throwing ideas around about how to tell this story. But I think it's always interesting to hear, especially in documentary, how you're making the movie in the editing room. And in your case, you brought a great team together way after me, right? And I wasn't as involved in the creative process. But maybe talk a little bit about how this is made in the editing room and the evolution of the story. And
yeah, I mean, what's so interesting for a documentary is, compared to narrative, Michelle Harrison, one of the associate producers, is here. She's an editor for narrative, so she knows this. But you give a filmmaker a script in narrative, and so you can give it to 10 people, 10 filmmakers, 10 editors. You're going to get the same story. But when you do documentary like this, and you give it to 10 filmmakers, you could have 10 different stories. You could have a story just about Mayan Habira. You could have just a story about Shashi Fadi. You could be telling this in so many different ways, and the whole process was so incredible. Is John T. Fine here tonight? John T. So John T. and I found the story together. John T. was somebody who was an incredible editor for music video and commercial small things. And we had worked on the trailer together before we made the film, and we had such an incredible reception on the trailer. And so I went to him, I said, John T., can you please edit this film with me? I need an editor. And he said, don't hire me, I don't know how to make a film. Which is the truth, right, John T.? And I said, no, I think we can do it, and we did it. And we did it, you know, in it was built in a 3-act structure. The first act and the third act were sort of, nothing was easy, but and the process was incredible.
Knew where you were going.
But we sort of knew we would have an introduction and the festival at the end, but the middle was really difficult. And also, I mean, I was laughing about this yesterday, just the whole feedback process. I mean, you sculpt it in the editing room, and it was such an incredible process. But, you know, when it first started, and I'm sure he remembers this, we had, let's say, the first act, and I thought I had a masterpiece. I mean, I'm like, Toronto, here we come, if you remember. So I'm like, we're so in. And I gave it to the first 2 people for feedback, and they called up and they said, oh my God, Beth, this is terrible. I didn't understand.
I never said terrible.
It wasn't you, but he was on round 2, and he probably also said it wasn't so great. But the first round, they really were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, we love you, but I don't understand anything. There's no context, I mean, it was really, but that was how we learned, and you know, you sort of, I had a stable of people that I trusted in the industry, and I went 2 by 2. And if 2 people would give me the same note, then I knew I had to pay attention to it. And if one did and one didn't, or there was something behind their politics, or I always had to look at where they were coming from to distill it.
What was their perspective before they came to the table?
But it was such an incredible process to build this, and then of course, what's so incredible is then to elevate the aesthetic. So then you have the skeleton of the film, but you can't imagine, first I'm going to say thank you to Ofer Ben Yehuda, because he did the cinematography. We were getting food porn, in review after review after review, and Ofer Ben Yehuda, I have to thank for that. When I said I'm going to make this film, my brother's friend's mother, I remembered, was a producer in Israel, and I called her and said, please point me in the direction of the best food cinematographer you can give me, and it was Ofer, and he would do 1 shot, 1 take, no stylist, nothing, and look at what we got. So that's incredible. Then you look at, then of course John T. in the editing, and then you look at the score. Okay.
Yeah, the music was incredible.
You know, yes, and there's a lot of people. First and foremost is Omar El-Deeb. I mean, he's here, woohoo, he's here. And that was such a fun process as well. We wanted to take the themes of the Jewish Muslims theme and bring it to the music. And so Omar said, we need to have an oud for the Arabic sound. And I said, okay, we need to get a violin for the Jewish Eastern European sound. And we made this on a dime, so I basically pulled in every favor I could, and I called my stepsister, whose friend played in the symphony at the University of Pennsylvania, violin. I'm like, and she lives in Germany, and I said, please, can you play the violin? And she'd send me the cues on WhatsApp on my phone, and then I bring them to Omar, and then she eventually recorded them. But also, I know Ronnie Cohen, I think he's here tonight. Yeah, and he had a lot to do with this. Christopher Raymond had a lot to do with this. Joey Peters gave the percussion. I was like, God, we need some drums in here, and he's this incredible percussionist. That's what's so great about living in LA. There's so many talented people, and you can call them up, and he would also send me the cues on a phone call, and we were putting everything together. So that was amazing. And the final person is Nicholas Ash Bateman, who's a director himself, and he did the maps, and he did the fonts, and he did the color, and the sound design, and all of these things. And also Itai Levine, are you here tonight? Yeah, I mean, he was such a trooper in post-production. I was a nightmare trying to do the deliverables. I'm so sorry. And he was so loyal, oh my goodness, and he gave me so much of his time, and he was so generous, and I can't thank you enough. So these are the people that elevated
Jason
this.
Army.
Yeah, and I'm very, very grateful. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So with that, let's open it up. I'm sure you guys have some questions, yeah? You got all figured out already? Here we go.
What's your favorite food?
So, in the movie, the dish, you mean?
The question.
Okay, he asked what's my favorite dish, I think, from the film. So my favorite, there were so many, and it's all delicious, but what I like to say is my favorite dish is Nofs Monty, because it's a metaphor for the film when she says that when she's open to both the cultures of both sides, her world is more colorful, and the dish is so colorful. So that's why we end with it, Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, thank you. This was a great film.
Thank you.
I think for the moment there, for the last 2.5 hours, the borders were eliminated. And so that was
That
incredible.
makes me happy.
Incredible.
Thank you.
But maybe I want to ask, how can you shift the focus so that the peace and prosperity stays without these borders?
Look, I'm going to tell you, like Anthony Bourdain said, right? Food may not be the answer to world peace, but it's a start. We're not going to solve world peace with food. It's nobody's naive like that, but it sure helps. And it breaks down the barriers, and the more people, Republicans and Democrats alike, the more you hate each other, the more you go get some meals together, maybe find some ingredients you like together. Maybe the days will be a little bit nicer. That's all I can add for this. You know, I can't tell you how this is not going to change the world, but more of this, like Nov says, small steps lead to big steps.
Yeah, well said. Yes?
From Middle Eastern Focus, I noticed there's a lot of people in the film talking about peace. Never once did anybody mention justice. Is that a choice of yours?
No. I had no agenda. I don't really know what that is leading to as a question, but all I can tell you is I gave the chefs a platform for their voices to speak, and that's all I did.
Yeah, it was definitely not a political statement.
Yeah,
We
not.
bring people
This film
together
to me
and
is
have
the
that.
antithesis. This film is meant to be the antithesis of politics. For me, this film is meant to be a positive story. Nov talks about how nobody wanted to cover the festival, for example, because when it's a positive story, nobody wants to cover it. For me, what drove me to make this, because it's crazy, what drove me to make this? What drove me to make this is, it was a beautiful story that I didn't hear. And I said to myself, wow, I would love to see something like this. So I'm going to go make it. Maybe other people will want to see something like this too. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Next, yes.
Yeah, did you show the film there?
Can you speak?
Did I show the film in Israel? Is that the question? Yes, so what's happened with this film is it opened in Haifa at the Haifa International Film Festival. It was sold out, all the chefs were there, Nov was there. There was a Q&A afterwards about the Arabic-Israeli salad, because there's all voices, there's many sides to that topic. People have tried to get my opinion and I stayed out of it. And then afterwards, it played again at the Jerusalem Jewish Film Festival. Nov came with her mother, and some of the other chefs came to attend again. It was very well received, and but it hasn't been distributed there yet. Since then, this film has played 65 film festivals around the world. It won the Napa Valley Film Festival Award for favorite culinary cinema film. It played in theaters in Australia and New Zealand, and now it's about to open in 65 cities around the country.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I can't really see very well.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes, I see two hands. Go for it.
so my question is,
Just go.
Yeah.
it looks like you're looking at me.
No, I'm looking at you. I see the two hands, and this gentleman just stood up. So one moment, sir. Let's let her finish her question. We'll come right back to you.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious if you were familiar with Israel at all and with the food before you heard about Nov and Christ.
Yes, I did.
Answer the question.
Oh, sorry. She's asking if I was familiar with Israel and the food before I made the
You
film.
thought about making a film. Were you there a lot? Were you?
No, so I lived in Israel when I was 17 for a year, and then I really had no relationship with it for decades. But I did know Hebrew from that time, which is the only reason I was able to make this, which when I went, I didn't realize that I forgot that I spoke Hebrew, and I didn't really think that I would need to speak Hebrew because Nov spoke such wonderful English, but I would not have been able to make the film if that Hebrew didn't come back. And so I knew a little bit of the food. I mean, whatever, I don't even want to go because it's like prickly to even say. I'm not going to call it Israel, I'm going to call it Levantine food. I knew falafel and hummus, but I was not experienced in Arabic food in makluba and katayef and all of those things, and it was such a joy to learn about them. So, yeah.
That's part of why we make documentaries. You get to learn something new.
I'm Israeli, and I didn't know half of this food.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Did you have a question?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate you on your film. Is this
am I correct in believing this is your very first documentary?
This is my first documentary as a director. I produced a documentary called Phantomanium on the fans of the World Cup, and I would say in that I directed little pieces. I'm not credited as a director, but I probably learned a little bit in that film to make me think that maybe I can do this one, but...
Well, it's a marvelous piece of work, and as a fellow traveler, as a documentary filmmaker, of course, you got very lucky in the subject that you chose, and I wish you well on whatever else you're going to do.
Thank you so much. Thank
Very
you.
sweet. All right, we got time for a couple more. Did I see a hand go up in the back, or is that just a stretch? There we go. Yeah, you, standing up.
First of all, as an Israeli,
I'm sorry, can you speak up just a little bit louder?
first of all, as an Israeli, I would like to thank you because it's a heartwarming movie. And it really touched me and I loved every second of it. And I actually have a request, not a question. Would you please put a list on your website of these places because on my next trip I would love to go.
Yes.
That's a great idea, thank
Thank you
you.
so
I will
much.
remind her of that.
As an Israeli, I would like to push it even further, maybe even a couple recipes too.
Well, the recipes...
Tell me.
For the recipes, I'm working on, hopefully, a book because people are asking for the recipes. And so breakingbreadmovie.com, you can sign up for them, for the book.
And if people sign up, then they'll do the book. She's gonna do the book.
I hope so, I really want to.
Yes, sir.
Beth, I want to give you a big, warm compliment. I've known you a long time. I heard all about this when it was happening. It's your first film. It's such an assured first film. It was magnificent. I had a great time sitting here. And your humility in surrounding yourself with such a great team and working with them and letting them do their thing like chefs do produced a great movie. And what I want to ask you about is, like, I don't want to just see this movie. I'd like to experience a festival like this. I would like it to happen here in Santa Monica.
Me too.
And please have a kosher part of it at least. But really, great job, and make it be more than a movie. It is a movement. I want to see more of it happening, not just hear about it, so I can attend it. I want to eat the food with other people. It's great. Great job.
Maybe we do a Breaking
That's so
Bread
nice,
film
thank
festival.
you. Yeah, I get that.
All right, I think we have time for maybe two more. She has more questions?
Hi. Hi.
Okay. While I've been sitting here with my hand up, I've thought of lots of questions, but I'm going to only ask
Oh, no,
two
okay.
that pop up. First of all, I'm very interested in the organization of it. Did each set of chefs make one specific menu that they served each of the 3 nights at the festival?
So how it worked was at every restaurant, they would be paired. If they were a Jewish restaurant, they'd be paired with Arab restaurant paired with Jewish. And Nof would assign a dish. And then that dish, for 3 days, they would serve that dish all day long. And people would just go from restaurant to restaurant and
There
experience
was
the
no
dish.
whole menu?
Nope, just one dish that was featured, but at each restaurant, so you could go to many different restaurants and eat many different dishes.
Okay, second question. Maybe I missed it. How many years has this happened now?
It's not happening at the moment, but
Festival.
the festival, sorry, how many years has the festival happened is the question. And it happened for 4 years, but right now it's on a hiatus and she's gonna see what will happen because of many different reasons, including
Okay.
COVID,
I
yeah.
have third one.
Yeah, okay.
If it's happened this many years, I imagine it sells out. How do they determine, is it first come, first served?
No, it's really just open. I mean, the whole
Oh.
city is celebrating and there's music and, I mean, I want to be there right now when I'm talking about it. There's music and there's street food and there's all kinds of activities going on, and then you just walk around the beautiful city of Haifa. I'll talk about Haifa for 1 second. Who's been to Haifa? Anybody? Yeah! That is the most incredible city. I absolutely fell in love with it. I'll go too, but it truly is a place where there's no religion on anybody's sleeve, and people are really, people warned me before I made this movie, said, oh my God, it's just no, if you're never, what are you doing? There's not gonna be anybody there that's like that, blah, blah, blah. And you get there and it's just not right. I mean, that whole city is like that. And so anyway, people are celebrating the city, and you go there and you don't have to have a reservation for anything. You just kind of go to you get a brochure, and it lists all the different dishes at the different restaurants, and each sign has a number. I don't know if you notice, if you watch it on VOD later or streaming, you'll notice it. But the signs have a number and in the brochure, and you just decide which dishes you think look interesting, and you go to the restaurants and you order it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, we've got time for one more. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for, thank you very much for this movie, and I was wondering if, because I want to share this movie with my friends abroad, because I have friends in the Middle East and family in Israel.
Yes.
Is this going to be on Netflix, or?
It will be, I would love that, but it will be streaming eventually, yes. And it will be distributed. I am so lucky. This is not normal. Jon knows. Jon has created, Jon is the founder of the Slam Dance Film Festival, by the way. He's incredible. And he knows this is not normal for a documentary to get a distribution like that. So I'm beyond lucky and grateful to Cohen Media Group, and they are going to sell it around the world. So it will.
Just remind everybody how to track you, right? Is it, give them the website?
Breaking Bread Movie, yeah, that's a great idea, thank you. It's go to breakingbreadmovie.com, or on any Instagram or Facebook, Breaking Bread Movie, just remember movie. And there's always going to be information about it.
Yeah, and you can send feedback,
me
right?
an
You
email.
send emails,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's going to collect and send out newsletters and
Yes,
dates.
I
and all
get
that kind of
inquiries
stuff.
all the time.
This
and, yeah.
movie, as Beth said, is confirmed in over 60 cities. It will likely expand from there, and it will end up on streaming platforms for sure. Cohen Media Group knows what they're doing, and yeah,
It's already
You're
set for,
lucky.
I mean, they're working on Canada right now. They've told me they have some dates coming up in Canada. But I know they're going to take it around the world. I don't know if it will get theatricals elsewhere, but it will be on streaming, but I don't know where yet, yeah. And again, so grateful. It's crazy, yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you, Beth, for sharing.
Thank
this.
you.
Thanks
Thank you
to
so
Lou
much.
for working there for the premiere, right? For the actual premiere in New York. Amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you all for
New
coming.
York, thank you. And it's also, he's gonna say it now too, but it's playing here all week. Please send your friends. And it's playing at the Quad in New York right now. If you have friends in New York, please send your friends, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.